Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my first unhaul of 2021. So I have about 10 books that I'm going to be unhauling, so not a huge unhaul. But before we go ahead and get on into the books I'm going to be unhauling, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new content. And don't forget to check down in the description box for links to my social media, including my Patreon and my Discord. So I take my books to Second and Charles, which is the local used bookshop closest to me, and they do give you a little bit of store credit to spend in their store. It's not a ton, but it's nice. The first book I'm going to be unhauling is Malice. This is the original version that I had, and I got the whole quartet for Christmas, but I did have this original copy. I don't know if Second and Charles will take it because it does have water damage. I got it from Thrift Books originally, and this is how it came. So I'm not sure if they're going to take it, but I'm going to try and sell it. If not, then I will find a home for it somewhere. But I've already read Malice. I really liked it. I'm going to be continuing on with the series. I just don't need 2 copies of it, especially one that is damaged. The next book I'm going to be getting rid of is The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner. This is an adult historical fiction that follows the Jane Austen Society in the years after World War II and the creation of it. And I was so thankfully sent this by the publisher last year to read and review, and I did such. I have a full review of it. Unfortunately, it's just not a book that I ever see myself rereading. I liked it. I didn't love it, so I don't need it on my shelf. And I don't read a ton of historical fiction anyway. The historical fiction that I do have are things that I have to absolutely love. So I know that someone will be able to get more out of this book than I did. Next, we have Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. I tried to read this last year and it was a DNF, which is embarrassing because look how short it is. I could have easily powered through this, but I didn't want to. I did not enjoy the storytelling. I did not enjoy the word choice. I didn't like how the plot meandered. It jumped around between past, present, and I don't know, possibly future, or maybe just inside this guy's head. I did appreciate the anti-war themes. I appreciate the fact that Kurt Vonnegut went through some of these experiences being a prisoner of war. I just did not like the story and how he portrayed his experiences using this story. So I don't unhaul a lot of classics. I don't even DNF a lot of classics, but this one just did not work for me. So I'm sure there's someone out there that will enjoy it way more than I did. The next book is going to be Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is a historical fantasy. It takes place in the Napoleonic Wars, and it follows 2 magicians that kind of get hired on by the British Army to help them defeat this war. And I know that there is fairies involved. This was adapted into a TV show on Netflix, and I did watch it. But I didn't even finish the TV show, so I'm like, if I didn't finish the TV show, I don't know how I'm going to finish this book. Plus, it is huge, and I've heard it's very dense. The dialogue is extremely dry, and every time I look at this on my shelf, like, I don't get excited over it. I'm like, I really dread reading that whole thing, so why am I even going to hold on to it? But this book I got for $1 at a used bookstore where my parents live, so I really feel no qualms with unhauling it, and I'm sure there's someone out there that will want to read this and be able to pick it up and love it. The next book is Serpent and Dove by Shelby McCurran. This is a YA fantasy romance about a witch and a witch hunter, and this was one of my most disappointing books of 2020. This just didn't work for me personally, but I know that a lot of people love it. I just felt like the main character, Lou, was a girl that was like plucked from 2021 and put into this like medieval like setting. I didn't really like the romance. I liked the male love interest, but I just did not like their dynamic, and I just felt like the world building was just not up to par with other fantasies that I have been reading lately. And the sequel, Blood and Honey, came out last year, and I just had no desire to read it, so I figured I would let this one go. The next book is Daughter of the Pirate Queen. This is by Trisha Levenseller, and this is very similar to Serpent and Dove. I read this maybe about 2 years ago. This book follows a pirate named Alosa, and she purposely allows herself to get captured by her enemies because she is searching for a hidden map that they might have. And this book is so well loved. I did not like hardly anything about it. It is way too romance heavy and not enough like pirate swashbuckling on the ship part of the story, which is what I really like. And I wasn't a huge fan of the main character. I felt like she was portrayed as a strong female protagonist because all she did was beat up guys instead of being like, well, you can be strong in other ways, like mentally, emotionally, intelligence, but it was just like, I can beat up guys. I didn't like the way that she was portrayed and the way that her strength was portrayed. There is a sequel to this, Daughter of the Siren Queen, and I have no desire to pick up the sequel. So there's really no reason for me to keep this on my shelves because I know that I am never going to read it again. Next, we have The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White. This was one of the books that I DNF'd in 2020, and there weren't that many. And this makes me so sad because this cover is absolutely gorgeous. This is a Camelot retelling. It's about Guinevere, who is actually not Guinevere. She's a forest witch, and she impersonates Guinevere, is sent by Merlin to Camelot to protect Arthur. And Arthur knows that she's not, a human, that she's a witch. And this just had the foundations of such a good book, and it just did not work for me. I really just found everything incredibly surface level. The plot, the characters, I did not mesh with the writing style. I just found it too dry for my taste personally. And I know that there are people out there that really like Kirsten White's And I Darken series, so I feel like if you like that, you might enjoy this also. She's just not an author that works for me, so I'm going to unhaul this, and I don't plan on picking up any more of her books. The next 3 books are all books that I had on my shelves and I haven't read, but I've pretty much lost interest, so I'm just going to be getting rid of them. And I don't feel so bad because I got these books originally used, so it's not like I spent a bunch of money on books that I'm, bought and then don't read. Their first one is Heart of Thorns by Bree Barton. This is a book that I saw floating around on Goodreads. It's a YA fantasy, and I was interested in it. I saw it for a couple bucks at the bookstore and I picked it up, but on, reflecting back, it actually has a pretty low rating on Goodreads. And I don't want to say that I only read books that have a certain rating on Goodreads, but it does reflect the general opinion of the populace. And I found that normally my opinion kind of correlates with the general population. There's definitely some differences, Serpent and Dove, for example, but if the general population gave it a low rating, then I have a feeling it's probably not going to be something that is worth my time. And I don't even remember what it's about, but I'm just going to go ahead and unhaul it because I'm just not interested in reading it anymore. And the next 2 books are part of a series. The first one is The Warrior Heir and The Wizard Heir. These 2 books are by Cinda Williams Chima, and I think this is her first published series, but it follows a teenage boy who, during modern day times, finds out that he is a wizard and has to go through all of these trials. And I want to say there's like 5 or 6 books in the series. I personally love Cinda Williams Chima's Shattered Realms series, 7 Realms series. I'm getting that and Joe Abercrombie's series mixed up. But that one is one of my favorite YA series, and I do plan on reading her spin-off series. But I feel like this particular series, I have it in my mind that it's more middle grade, even though it's marketed for YA. And I just don't want to invest in a series that's 5 or 6 books if it's not something that I'm super, super excited and passionate about. And considering that I have just so many YA completed series on my shelves that I need to read, anything that doesn't really spark my interest, I just see no reason in keeping. All right, you guys, so that is it for my first unhaul of 2020. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, if you think that I should keep the ones that I haven't read but want to unhaul, or if you have unhauled anything soon, and I will see y'all in another video. Goodbye.